Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach, and it has been quite a long time since I did one of these. I'm on vacation this week, which this week is the week of Build, Microsoft's event. Probably not the best week to take off, but I've been at Magenic now for almost 18 years? 19? I'm losing track. In fact, because I'm on a staycation this week, not a vacation, been doing some things around the house here and there, and one of them was cleaning out the foyer closet. And I found, make sure I go back to OBS here so you can see it. This is a hat that I found at one point at Magenic, and it has the old Magenic logo. This was actually before I joined the company. And had that wonderful asteroid thing around that ugly M. So gave a bunch of stuff away to Goodwill. Not that hat. That one's staying. So I'm on vacation this week and just taking some time to chill and relax. Figured I'm going to do a couple recordings this week. I'm actually not posting anything this week, just because I don't want to. It doesn't take that much time, obviously, but don't want to post things. But I'm going to do some recordings this week. This first one is actually to re-jog my memory to go, what in the hell was I working on when I stopped doing some recordings? Because I just haven't done them. I'm finding out that doing recordings, I'm going to have to do them like in the morning or right before lunch, because I don't know what it's been like in the last 6 months or so, but actually in the last year, I enjoy getting up earlier and going to bed earlier. And I don't know why, but that's the kind of schedule I seem to be gravitating towards the older I get. So I got to do that, because otherwise at night I'm just, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I might say to my wife, hey, let's watch a show, or I'm going to go record a show. And then kids go to bed and it's like 9:30 and I go, I'm just tired. I want to go read. I just want to go read in bed and fall asleep. So, but enough of that. I have time now during build, which a lot of cool announcements have come out. We got .NET Core 3.0 Preview 5. Blazor's been announced. That was actually before build as being a supported product. That is absolutely awesome news. I think web development is going to be very different in 3 to 5 years. Very, very different. And it's not even everybody's going to move to Blazor. That's, I think, people are going to do, but I think in the large, people are going to start embracing WebAssembly more and more. And the dominance that JavaScript has had for web development is, and my predictions may be wrong, I believe is going to start tapering off. There's just better languages out there, and I think we should be embracing those. So those announcements, .NET being just .NET, and having a good plan of releases, and .NET Core and Mono, and we're going to drop the core, and it's I think that's been a long time coming, and I think we got at least a road plan now. I think it's a good thing to do. So lots of cool stuff, and I'm avoiding all of it, really. I've just been kind of tangentially looking at tweets coming here and there, but at some point I'm going to have the keynotes and everything watching and check out certain videos to see what's going on. So it is cool. I mean, I was thinking about this yesterday as I was driving. I don't remember where, but I was driving along, and the thought of where Microsoft was around Windows 8 release and the demise of Silverlight and all this stuff going on, Microsoft changing their culture, felt like they were trying to be like Apple to some degree. And it just felt wrong. It just felt like, oh my God, where is Microsoft really going? It just, I sat there and went, is this even going to be relevant anymore? And it is nice to see the ship turned in a better direction, and they're not perfect. No company is. They have their faults just like every other company does, but I think they've definitely righted some wrongs and they're on a better course. Now, naysayers will say this is just Microsoft doing their embrace, extend, extinguish. Look at what they're doing with Linux. Now we have WSL2, and this is just Microsoft embracing it more so then they can extend it and then completely extinguish the crap out of it. And, I can't fully dismiss that in the sense of, is that a possibility in the realm of possibilities? Yeah, I guess. But I would bet on that not happening. And it could be wrong. Somebody, there are people that I think will never believe anything that Microsoft says. And I get it. It's for good reason. There's been definitely bridges burned and poor decisions made by Microsoft that really stuck a thorn in people's side, to say the least. So I don't, I just don't dismiss that. But at the same time, I'm sitting there going, this is really stuff that people have been asking for a long time. Open source stuff, embrace other technologies, and they're doing that. And it's just, you're getting suckered in. They're just going to pull the rug out from under you, just like they always have. I don't know what to say to that anymore. So it's like trying to persuade people to view things differently in terms of their politics. It's like religion. That has to come from within. People have to make that decision on their own and feel comfortable with that. And, you're just not going to be able to get people to say an argument to them and go, oh, you're right. Part of it is pride. People don't want to admit that they've been wrong, or that, maybe they haven't been viewing it in a way that makes more sense. And some people are just beyond hope. You can't change them. People might say that about me. You take, views that I have. You can't change them. My God, he believes in tabs over spaces. Or, he's a lost cause. But in any event, I'm kind of rambling a little bit because I haven't done this in a while, but also because I have to remind myself, where was I? Where was I? So I've been looking at this non-nullability feature, and I hope, okay, so you don't see this, but over this side is the door to my office, and then there's a little hallway, and then another door, and that leads into like the laundry room, utility room. We've got our water softener in there, washer dryer, water heater, everything's in there. And I usually have both doors shut. And part of it is because of noise, like the fan just kicked on the air heater. And why am I blanking on the thing's name? But I am, doesn't matter. So hopefully that's not too loud. I kept the door open in part because my kids are at school and my wife went off to work, and I figure I'll leave the door open, see if my cats actually eventually wander in and start to annoy me. So we'll see. One other thing I want to babble on for a little bit was my wife she had a broken foot about a year or two ago, and she eventually had to have surgery. So went through that. Everything seemed fine. She started working at the school this year, and she started developing pain in her foot again. So now she's had a couple of hairline fractures in her foot in a different place. So she's been back in a boot. They actually got one of those little scooty cart things, which I found are kind of dangerous and fun because they really move. They're very, the friction in the wheels is not that much at all. So they can take off, and they almost feel dangerous in a way and kind of fun. She's been walking more now. She was off of the foot as much as possible for a couple weeks, and now she's started to slowly start walking on it. I keep reminding her, slow down, keep your foot off. We don't want to end up in a place that we were a year or two ago when this happened. And it's been stressful in our family. There's been something that popped up a couple of weeks ago, a month ago almost at this point, that I can't talk about. I mentioned it if people follow me on Facebook. And it got, I guess it got her father worried. Like, he called us. He's like, well, what's going on? What's the problem? And I even said, it's not our kids. It's not us. It's not our health. It's just something that I can't say in public. And maybe at some point when all is said and done, we will. It's ended up becoming something that will be handled. and we just have to let things take their course. The stress has been reduced, once we figured out what we needed to do. But there's been some stress in this family, and it's good to see it start to go down. I also feel like we get rid of a problem and then something else comes up, and we get rid of a problem, something else comes up. And this has nothing to do with it, just a thought. If you ever buy a house, you got to keep in mind that there will be maintenance costs throughout your life, and you have to factor that into the ownership of the house. You just do. Not that we had anything recently just completely fall apart, though now I say that, I'm just waiting for our heater, or water heater, or whatever, just to blow up or something, because I cursed it. Anyway, so nobody's in the house, so I have the door open, so you might hear some noise from over there. If it becomes too much, I'll walk over and shut it. Speaking of shutting, shut up about my life. What is this? Okay, so I've been working on updating rocks for C# 8 non-nullable reference types. And I did a couple videos on that. I've been working at it. Got to a point where the project finally compiled. And long story short, I realized I have one thing left. Okay. And this is in part because I like turning warnings on as errors. If I didn't do this, I'd still have to fix one thing, but I could get away with what the code is doing now, but it wouldn't feel right to me. Okay. And what it is essentially this, where I have an interface that says I have a nullable string here. Okay. Now let me take this off for a second so you can see what's actually happening. I have an interface here that I have not implemented. Okay. So let's say implement it. Notice what it's doing. It's saying string, not string question mark. Okay. And so what ends up happening here is you get a warning that they don't match. You really should be doing is saying, make it a question mark. Now, I can also see why this is a warning and not an error, because you're actually making it better by saying the interface says I could have nulls. This is saying I'm not accepting nulls. If you did it, actually I haven't done this yet, if I did it the reverse, that will now be okay. And the reason this is here is because I have an editor config that says I should have expression body members. Let's just turn that up, get that there so I can forget it. And now if I did this, I'm actually curious what it would do. It just says it doesn't match. Okay. So it's basically the same thing. Okay, so the point is that I already have this done. This has been in there from day one. Okay, but now this got introduced. Okay, so now what I need to do is this. There's another little quirk that's going on, and that's the way that non-nullable reference types has been implemented in C# 8. When they added nullable value types, there's actually a nullable of t. Okay, if I actually said nullable of t, and this is going to be wrong because it's not implementing interface, but that's the point, is that there's actually a base type for this. Okay, for something like this, there isn't. There's no base type. What happens right now is you get an attribute, and this is another error that's showing up. You get this system runtime compiler services nullable attribute being put on things, and I think it's added to everything. I could be wrong on that, but it's being added in places, and then it passes in a byte value, say whether it is or it isn't. So there's metadata being added to these call sites, to arguments, to return values, to say whether or not this is nullable. Okay, so there is no base type. So you can't do something like this. You can't just say, oh God, where am I? I don't know. I just want to say like var t equals type of string. Okay, question mark. You can do that, but it's not going to show like system string question mark. There is no type like that. Okay, so that doesn't work the way you think it would. It only works here. Okay, so there's two things I got to do. One is I will find attributes for parameters, return values. I have to explicitly filter them out. Here's the trick too, is that this type is, for lack of a better term, synthesized as you're compiling. There's no way to reference this type and to say if the attribute type that you found is this type, then ignore it. Okay, I actually have to do that through string matching. Though I remember on GitHub there was actually a request to say let's make this a type that is exposed so that we can actually do real things with reflection. So I'm kind of curious. If I come back up here and I say var t is equal to type of system.runtime.compilerservices.nullable. Nope, not there yet. Okay, so you still can't do that. And I've got .NET Core 3 Preview 5. Now I updated to the latest of the latest. So you'll see in the code you still have to filter out by strings. Okay, so that's one thing, is that I can't have that show up because there's no way to reference it. As you just saw, it doesn't work. So I have to remove those when they're there. And then the other part of the problem is I'm like, well, how do I specify this? If you need a nullable attribute to say it's a null, and then I just realized I'm an idiot. The whole point of Rocks is to generate C# code that's compiled by Roslyn at runtime. So just stick in a question mark if something has been declared as being nullable. How, though, do you find that something is nullable? Is that you have to look for that attribute via string name. So it's a fun world. So I got kind of close, and then I stopped doing work on this for a while. So now I'm back. So I already spend like half my time usually on an episode just talking about what are all the things that I do. Turn that off. Actually, I found out when I did that come on, go away. Yeah, there we go. Okay, because I don't want this in my sketchpad just yet. By the way, this error, I don't know how to get rid of. I see this times, it doesn't stop a build, but it's really, really annoying because it just shows up and I'm like, go away. I don't know what your problem is, okay? All right, so now I have to remember what I was doing. What was I doing? So if I remember right, in extensions for, because this is, if I go to my GitHub here, parameter info extensions, I added, this is nullable referencing. So you can see in the code here, I'm looking to say, get all the custom attribute data. And if I find one here, this will tell me if it's a nullable reference. So this is good. And that, and I just realized something as I'm looking at this. Is nullable reference. This is actually, yeah, this is from .NET. This isn't my thing. So this is okay. And you also have to say, if it's 2, then return true. Now I want to look at extension. I thought this is parameter, right? Gosh, that's extensions, yes, method base. Parameter info extensions, I should have, yeah, I got a whole bunch of tests for these already. So notice how I got to do it. I got to actually declare things with or without them so then I can check to whether they are or not. So, okay, so that tells me whether something's nullable or not. So that will allow me at some point to say, well, I'm going through the parameters. If this is a nullable one, a nullable reference. Do I actually check? Let me just see in here. If it's not a value type, okay, and then do I have a test to say, yeah, for value type, and I say false. Okay, good. So if it's a nullable reference type, then I know just to put a little question mark at the end. Okay, so actually what I'm going to do is write these down. Okay, so I need to do something. I need to say if a parameter or a return value is a nullable reference, add a question mark after the type name. Now I got to be a little careful here because, oh, damn it. So, because if I remember right, would you please, I don't remember things. I don't remember nullable context options, okay? Got to help me out here. Work with me. Work with me, editor. So if I come back down here and I say public interface, I have nullables. I say void foo. Whoops, I want to say it's a t. Whoops, t. But now I can't say this. Okay? You'll notice that saying, if I say where t is class, now that's okay. So here's the thing that gets tricky. No, actually it doesn't. If I public class x equals I have null, and I have to actually say x of t. And I can't say here, if I remember right, that is not allowed at all. Yeah, you can't do that there. You have to say the type because you need a type. Okay, now I'll say implement it. Okay, and now I can say here though that that's okay. Right? Oh, I need the where t is class. And I'm almost positive I already have code in place to add the constraints. So that's okay. If I never put a question mark here, then I would never even need to put a question mark here. Okay, so that's good. I was wondering if the generic was closed or open, would I have a problem with figuring out that? And I don't need to. If I made it legitimate up here, which is to put the class constraint there, then it's legitimate to put it down there. And so it doesn't matter how the type name is generated. Okay, we're cool. So that's one good thing. And then the other thing I need to do is, actually, I think this one will be slightly easier. If I'm getting attribute data, don't include nullable attribute. Okay, and so I think in both cases I can say for parameters, if it is a nullable reference type, well, how do I want to? And this is where when you don't keep focused on a particular problem, you don't follow it all the way through, you can start getting a little screwy. So I'm looking here for your customer attribute data, and this is a customer attribute data. The thing that I'm thinking what I might want to do to refactor this a little bit is to have an extension for customer attribute data that says contains nullable attribute. Because I need this in a couple of different contexts. I need this here, but I also need this if I'm just looking at something to say, is this a nullable attribute? And then when I'm generating all the attribute data, I just don't include that one. And here, if that's what it is, then I move on from this line of code. So I'm thinking out loud that what I really want to do is slightly change this so I have extensions. I don't have a customer well, okay. Here's the other thing is I don't remember get attributes, get attributes, get attributes. Okay. These all get that just goes on to here. So I always get custom attribute data, get attributes. And that's my own on a list of customer attribute data. Okay, which is fine, but this is where I'm going to want to say in here, if it's not a nullable attribute, then if it's not null, if it's out, whatever. So this is where I want to say primary optional attribute. If it's not any of those things. Okay. So I think what I want to do is I want to add a new class called custom attribute data extensions. And what I want to do is take the parameter info extension thing here it's just getting modified. That's okay, never mind. As long as I'm always going through customer attribute data to get the attribute stuff, then I should be fine. Okay. So internal static bool is nullable attribute. This custom attribute data. No. This. And the way to do that is to say that. So return this.name is that, and this.namespace is that. And then we'll do that. So we're going to clean this up a little bit, turn that down there, and then put that. Why you don't work? Okay, so you get the attribute, but then you need the attribute type. Fine. Nope. Use the refactoring tools. Var attribute type is equal to this dot attribute type. And then we use that. Put that there. Put that there. Now let's clean that up a little bit by putting that there. Okay, so now we've got a method that will tell us just is the attribute you found a nullable attribute or not. Okay. So now I need to write tests for this that are kind of like what I've done before. So I want to call it that. Put that here. Add class. Man, if you don't keep your skills up, you're just screwed, aren't you? I thought maybe that was another project I did, because you don't need your tests to be in a instance. It can be static. The test can be on static methods. Maybe that's God, it's been so long. Add an issue to GitHub nub hub to make all test classes static with static method test methods. Not a big deal, but so I'm just going to follow the. And here's an important thing. Okay, this is something that I kind of rant on. Is one, sometimes people would look at that and go, "Oh, squirrel, go in that direction and do it or don't," and then come back. But I'm focusing on this feature of getting everything non-nullable. We're putting that feature in, the language feature. The other thing is that that you get distracted. You see something else that you're supposed to fix or potentially fix. So I put a note down to say address that. The other thing is I don't want to just suddenly do that here and be inconsistent. Be consistently wrong until you can be consistently right. Okay. So I'm going to say public void is. Let me look at my parameter tests here. Does nullable attribute exist? No, I want to say something here too. So I pass that in, and then I look at. Yeah, I want all this. I think I want all of that. If what is attribute? Oh, that is this. Okay. Giving credit where credit is due to John, because that's the article I found that out on. Okay, so it's not just that the nullable attribute is there, it's that it's also saying it's, No, I don't. Because all I'm looking for is to say if the attribute exists. I don't care in the context of adding the attribute data to the type that I generate. I just, well, as the case I already deleted from Notepad. I just don't want that attribute stuff in. So I don't care if it's actually nullable or not. I just don't want it to show up. Okay. In the parameter info extensions here, what I would do is say, is it a nullable one? And then if it is, then I do this. But this isn't necessarily restricted to, I know it's a nullable attribute, so then I can do, okay, so actually I've talked myself out of this. I don't want to do this. I just want to say, tell me if it's a one or not. And again, if that's wrong, we can be wrong. So does nullable attribute exist for value type? And then we want to say, does nullable attribute exist for reference type? Because if I remember right, it will show up whether it's you make it a nullable reference type or not. Okay, so go back down here. Where did I put all these? We'll just stick them here. And we're just going to call this reference type because I don't think it matters. And then how did I, so I get, okay. So then up here, let's grab the name of this, put that there. And then I should say, insert that. For each, just to be var attribute in parameter, custom attributes data, var has nullable. It was false. So has nullable, we're going to or equal to, come on, equal to, attribute is nullable. Except what I want to do is say using rocks on extensions dot custom. There we go. There we go. Okay. So now assert that has nullable is false because I should never have found it. And now in this case, nope. Type of me. Type of me. This is reference type. And so through all of those, this should actually be true. Now I come up here, let's run those. What did that give me? Okay, 2 that should have passed, right? 2 that should have passed. Yep, 2. Okay. So that's good. And then I want to come back to parameter info extensions and say if attribute is nullable attribute, except here I need to do using. Again, this is not, I just like doing this. I like being explicit. Well, that should go to there. Okay, I guess I don't. Whatever. Alrighty. So if it is a nullable attribute, it means I can basically then put this stuff in here. Still not 100% convinced that this is the right thing to do, but I think it'll technically be right. I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do. Okay, so now if I come to parameter info extensions tests, if I say run all those, oops, what failed? No, none of those. I didn't say run all the extensions. I said run that. There. Okay, maybe I did the wrong keystroke, but that's good. So this is still working the way I expect it to. I've now separated this out so I can just look at an attribute, custom attribute data, and tell me, is it no, not. So let's just push this and saying push that. And I am past my time, and so I'm going to actually do a workout. Yes, I do work out during my vacations. What does I say? Fitness doesn't take a vacation. It's not to say that I'm the most fit person you're ever going to meet in life, but I try. I really try, and doing this over vacations, even if I'm like going somewhere for a vacation and I don't have all the equipment I have at home, just even going for a walk for half an hour, something to keep things moving, something to keep doing stuff. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to eat lunch. I'm going to have to pick up my wife from work, and then I will do another episode to hopefully continue on this. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.